A completely unexpected piece of news confirmed minutes ago is setting the NFL ablaze and placing the current AFC champions right in the center of a turnaround that honestly no one imagined could happen. This simply had never happened in the recent history of the Chiefs. The entire league is on alert. Insiders are scrambling, and we, as always, already have all the details first, long before anyone else. And look, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications because every day we bring you the hottest news, the most hidden behind-the-scenes information, and the updates that really matter to Kansas City Chiefs fans. Because what has just emerged involving big names within the franchise and decisions that could change the entire structure of the team is leaving everyone in shock. And the confirmation we received now, on the outside, everything seemed perfect. The Kansas City Chiefs carried the image of an unbeatable powerhouse, an explosive offense, Patrick Mahomes at his physical and technical peak, a solid defense, and a record few teams can match. 15 wins and only 2 losses in the regular season, advancing with authority to yet another Super Bowl. In the eyes of the fans, it was the ideal scenario, the exact formula for a team that seemed destined to continue dominating the NFL for years. However, behind this facade of excellence, there was a silent, growing, and extremely dangerous problem. The offensive line was crumbling. The fans would only realize the gravity of this months later. In 2024, Mahomes was sacked 36 times, the most sacks of his entire career. And when the Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles arrived, the situation reached its limit. 6 sacks in a single game, constant pressure that exposed the vulnerability that had previously been masked by the quarterback's absurd talent. At that moment, it became clear to the entire management that something needed to change urgently. Brett Veach understood the message and moved quickly. In the offseason, the Chiefs invested heavily in trying to rebuild the wall in front of Mahomes. They drafted Josh Simmons in the first round, a young and promising addition. They signed veteran Jalen Moore from the San Francisco 49ers. They renewed the contract of the solid Trey Smith, one of the most reliable players in the group. And they even planned a bigger role for Kingsley Suamataia, believing that his technical development would solidify the offensive line in 2025. In theory, everything seemed perfectly aligned for a safe and dominant season. But in practice, 2025 brought a completely different scenario than expected. We reached the most critical point in the franchise's recent history. Protection for Patrick Mahomes simply didn't exist as it should have. The chaos began to explode clearly after Week 8 against the Washington Commanders. Since that game, Mahomes has been sacked 3 or more times in every game. The alarm went from concern to despair. The original plan for 2025 was destroyed by injuries. Simmons, the first-round rookie, was out. Taylor, one of the pillars of the offensive line, was also out. With that, secondary players were forced to assume enormous responsibilities, far beyond expectations. And even with talented players available, the chemistry simply didn't click. There are still positives. Creed Humphrey remains the best center in the NFL. Mike Caliendo has been efficient and consistent. Wanya Morris and Jalen Moore are versatile enough to shoulder some of the weight, but that's far from enough. The confidence of the offensive line has plummeted. The protection has collapsed, and Mahomes is taking hit after hit. The most frightening statistic is simple. The last time Mahomes finished a game without being tackled was against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Since then, he's been hit in every game. In an average team, that would be serious. But in a team aiming for the Super Bowl, it's practically a sign of absolute emergency. If the Chiefs want to reach the playoffs, and above all, dream of another Super Bowl, something needs to change now. The coaching staff needs to adjust defensive schemes, reposition players, reduce unnecessary exposures by Mahomes, use shorter and faster passes, and above all, acknowledge internally that the offensive line is currently the team's biggest problem.